morning, everybody. I am Melisa Nielsen with Waldorf Essentials, and I wanted to talk to you today about making your dreams come true. And I want to talk about this from several different perspectives. So please feel free to ask questions about how we did it, and please know that it's a process that we're still working on. Like, as in, yeah, we've made some dreams come true, but we still have lots more dreams. Like, this is part of, like, not a world domination plan, but like a Nielsen plan, like a plan that that is continually unfolding. And I think that's the biggest thing to keep in mind as you're sort of going through figuring this out for yourself. So first, I will say that the dreams that we may come to reality, like where we live now, like our current reality, started 11 years ago. I was thinking about that this morning. I was thinking about how far back do I go? And really and truly, it probably goes back easily 11 years. So Erik and I have been married for, 13 years. Super Sam has been around for 12. And so this really was probably 12 years ago, if I think about it. If I get the numbers right in my head, even though it's early on a Monday morning. So when we first started coming to San Diego, we lived in Idaho, and we got married in Idaho. Erik is my second husband. I had a practice husband. That my older 3 children are from that marriage, but like they were all one big happy family, at least with the children we are. And Erik is dad for the most part to those children, and definitely to my oldest, who Erik adopted not too long ago. So that aside, we started coming to San Diego as a family to go to San Diego Comic-Con. I know, big shock if you're a Waldorf follower of ours, going, what in the heck is that all about? So we started coming here for Comic-Con, and 12 years ago we weren't in the place, we were wanting to dream. But and that's really what I want today to sort of be about, like the difference between taking that dream and then like going the next step. Because if you don't put action to it, it's just a dream. If you start to put action to it, it becomes a goal. And so like where's that step? And for us, and I'm going to use terms that I'm not looking to offend anybody, but I'm going to say that for me, it definitely has a lot to do with God. Or source, if you would prefer that, if you prefer that noun, or put whatever noun there you'd like. Has a lot to do with listening, meditation, lots of prayer, lots of listening, and lots of more listening of what actually I'm like trying to sort out, and what we're trying to create together. And so much of that has to come from you being in a place of being able to submit when it's necessary, and I'm not talking about submitting in a derogatory way. I'm talking about, oh, this is something that I want, but the Spirit's like, nope, honey, that ain't happening. And you have to be open enough to be able to say, okay, tell me more. Help me understand. Help me sort out the next step. So you have to be willing to do those things. You have to be willing to submit yourself to something other than yourself. And that doesn't mean that you're not the creator of your reality. That actually means that's part of the shaping process. That's part of the refining process, sort of as you go through all of this, is really being able to sort out where you are going and how you are showing up for that. So I definitely believe it takes a huge amount of inner work. And in fact, I don't think you can take this journey without some sort of connection to the divine. I think you could, let me back up. You could force this journey. You could be world domination. And we see people in the public spotlight all the time that just decide, I'm just going to dominate everything. That's not what this is about. This is about making your dreams come true from a very spirit-centered place, and making dreams come true that then help others, and then allow you to bring more to other people that you work with, maybe a church community, maybe, you know, a community like we've created here, maybe your children. Like, it's all about sort of bettering that situation and how you show up for that. So 12 years ago, we had come here for San Diego Comic-Con, and Erik had been here before, but that was like before family. So we came here together. Samuel was, Super Sam was 3 weeks old. No, yeah, 3 weeks. 3 weeks old. Comic-Con is the third week in July, and he was born June 15th, 14th. And so we had the idea that we were going to do it. In fact, the only thing that I was the most nervous about was the fact that he didn't have a birth certificate when we were flying in this post 9/11 world, and sort of how do we go about doing that. And oddly, fun fact, you can take a baby and it doesn't matter if it's yours because they don't ask you any questions, which is kind of scary on the airplane. And yeah, they don't ask you if it belongs to you or anything. So we went the first time, and now some people might be thinking, I can't believe you took a 3-week-old to that. So let me frame that for you. I'm a sling wearer when I have babies. He was on my body, on my person the entire time. The worst thing we had to deal with the entire time were blowouts. Like, you know, that newborn poop? Lots of pooping. He was such a good nurser. And we just spent a lot of time cleaning up after that. I remember I had just started, side note, using these diapers. I can't even remember what they're called, but they had like the cloth liner, and then they had cloth inserts, or you could put these paper inserts in them. I can't even remember what they were called. I thought they were the cat's pajamas. We thought we were going to use them on this trip, this maiden voyage, for these diapers. They were a mess. And I ended up using them again with Soraya later, but it was in a different situation, and so I think it was because we were trying to do too many things. Anyway, that trip was a really good trip for us. It was a trip where we came and we started to fall in love with San Diego. But we lived in Idaho. We did not have the means to come. But it started a dream. So we came every year, every July we came. And we've only missed we were talking about this, we've only missed 1 year out of the last 12. And that was the year that Soraya was born. And because she was a preemie, I was much more careful with where she went, and she was just so tiny for so long that we just stayed home that year. It was hard to do. But the dream had already sparked in us. So when we would come here, we would explore, we would, you know, of course we love the ocean, we love being here. And I grew up in California, or I spent my early childhood in California. That's where I was born, Northern California. I'm an Army brat. I was born at Fort Ord up in the Monterey area. And then we moved all over, but California has always called to me. I have a lot of family that lives here. It's always been a calling me home situation. Always. And so when we decided we wanted to make this our reality, we knew that we had a lot of things to do. Like, we had to do some figuring out. And so I'm going to talk to you about nuts and bolts of figuring things out, and then the dream parts as well. So I don't know how long this video is going to be, but I'm going to try to keep it at about 30 minutes. I'm going to try. So when we finally decided that, hey, this was what we wanted to do, it was a year that we had come. Jacob, our second son, was in 5th grade, and 5th or 6th grade, and he was participating with a homeschool group here in San Diego, and they were doing the Greek games. So the group that was here, they would hire a games teacher from a Waldorf school in Northern California, and he would come down every summer, teach the kids the Greek games. It was so much fun. Teach the kids the Greek games, and then they would have a tournament at the end of the week. And so we came one year, we came early. We came a week early, a week before Comic-Con. So we were going to spend a week with Jacob doing this tournament thing. And then we were going to spend our 5 days that we spent at Comic-Con. So we had the opportunity, because he was sort of in a camp like all day long. We went and dropped him off, and we picked him up at like 3 in the afternoon. So we went and we explored the heck out of the city. We found everything that just made us fall in love with it. and we spent a lot of time at the beach. We spent a lot of time, we explored Balboa Park. We went a lot of places, and we had a really good time, and we really, really fell in love with this place. And of course, then everybody talks about the gigantic price tag that is California. And it is a good sized price tag, I will give you that. At the time, we had lived in Sugar City when Sam was little, and we attracted moving to Utah, which was where we wanted to be. It was more culturally diverse. We wanted that more diversity for our kids. And then when we were there, that's when we really started just to really dream about being here. If you are familiar with Star Wars terminology, it was like living on Hoth when we lived in Southeast Idaho. It was so cold all the time. And I know I've talked about that before. I think I have a little PTSD about being cold. In fact, I told my children, if you choose to move back to a cold place, good for you. Don't choose to procreate in months when it's going to be cold, because I ain't coming. You will have to Skype me in. So we had started to attract this. We were living in Utah, and we didn't mind living in Utah. I mean, yes, I was cold, but we lived in co-housing in Utah. There was a lot of crazy terrain stuff going on there, and I was in charge of a lot of things there. And I was wearing thin, and so we decided, okay, we got to make this our reality. So the year after we went for this longer trip, we went again, and we had taken some time off because Sarai was little, and then we went again. The first year that she could go, and she was probably not quite. She was about 15 months old. She was a screamer. She was speech delayed. She didn't speak. She just screamed. So anybody who has a screamer for a child, yeah, that's how it was. We went to museums with her. She screamed. I had some of my worst parenting moments with my lovely youngest child. I think I recall trying to tell her I was going to feed her to the giant shark. Of course, I was kidding. Yeah, but it was a bad day. However, I remember that. And she'll probably remember it too. She'll probably need therapy later for that one. I doubt it, because we're pretty tight. But anyway, bad parenting moments. So we fell in love with this place, and we decided when we were on our way home that we really wanted to do it. So we were on our way home in July, and we thought, all right, what is it going to take? So the entire drive home between San Diego and Salt Lake City, we strategized. We thought about, okay, what are we paying rent here? When we lived in Salt Lake, we lived in a beautiful home. At the time, we were paying about $1,300 a month in rent, which I know is insane for them that you live back east and go, what? We lived in a beautiful 4-bedroom house, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and it was a beautiful house, and it was all eco-friendly in co-housing. It was a beautiful house. So we were accustomed to paying that much rent, and we thought, all right, well, what is it going to take to live in California and to have anywhere near that, because we knew that we were going to have to downsize. So we started looking. We started looking on this ride on the way home, and we started thinking about, okay, what do we need to do to scale our business at the time, and what do we need to do to to just really look at the nuts and bolts of the numbers, because that's part of dreaming. If you dream without doing the practical part, it's not going to come to fruition. You have to actually put those goals on paper and really look at, okay, what is it that I need to do? And I always fall back on there's scripture that says God helps those who help themselves. You can't just say, this is what I want, and not put forth any effort to it. You have to put forth action. It is great to dream, but you have to have a plan. And so we decided, okay, we were going to put this plan into action. We love our business. We are really good at what we do. And we decided that, okay, this is where we need to get to, this is where we need to scale to before we can really and truly decide to go. So this was July, and we thought, okay, by January, we could be in that space. This is what savings needs to happen. This is what needs to be put in place for us to do that. What we did was we looked at practical things. So even though housing is more expensive here in California, we knew that if we got to a walkable community, that we wouldn't need to spend so much time in the car. We knew that groceries, because so much of the nation's produce is grown in California, a lot of our groceries were cheaper. We knew that where we were spending $300 to $400 to heat our home in the wintertime, we wouldn't be spending that here, because it's not that cold. It's not cold. And well, that's relative. I'll talk about that in a minute. But so we knew that there would be some things that we would not have to pay for every month. And we took all of that into account as we were doing this dreaming, all of that into account as we were working on this next goal space for ourselves and deciding what it was that we really wanted. We really wanted to be here. And when we first set our intentions, I didn't set my intention to be at the beach. I set my intention to be in San Diego. I just wanted to get here. I figured if we could just get here, we could sort the rest out. And that's exactly what happened. We decided that we got home that July, and things were kind of heating up where we were living in our co-housing development, and I was in charge of way too much. And so as I worked to sort of step back from a lot of those obligations, we decided, okay, we want to go in October instead. So we came home at the end of July. We were originally going to go in January, and then we thought, oh no, it's happening in October. It's happening. And what's amazing is when the Spirit is behind you, doors open, things shift, and stuff happens. But you have to be in tune with the Spirit. You have to ask, you have to submit, you have to be willing to do things that seem a little kooky at first, but you do it. If you are called to do something, you do it. And I can remember the day that Erik and I, we both had prayed separately about it, and we both came to the same answer. We both came to the same answer that it needed to happen as soon as possible, and what was the quickest way that it could possibly happen. And so for us, we lived in this 4-bedroom house. We sold everything. And when I say everything, I mean everything. I let each, and we had a family meeting first. I will say that. We had teenagers. We did not want to just rip everybody away from things. Jacob had already gone to live with my ex-husband at this time, so that was not part of this decision at all. I already felt good. Well, good's relative. I already felt okay with where he was. And that was where it was the right place for him to be at the time. I miss him dearly, and I can't wait. He was supposed to come this last week, but he mixed up his date, so he's coming in next month, and I can't wait to see him. Love him dearly. But I already felt good about that. Harry and Ellie were on board. Ellie she was starting to act, and she really wanted more opportunities for acting. Southern California was a good place to go. So she was totally on board. So when we sat down, we said, okay, this is what's going to have to happen. If we're going to do this, this is how much stuff we can take, because we don't know where we're going. We did not have a house to move into when we moved here. We went entirely on faith. Now, I will tell you, if at any point in time the Spirit had said to me, don't do that, I would have listened. But it was not like that at all. At every turn, the Spirit said, keep walking, keep walking, keep walking. I've got your back. Keep walking, keep going. It's going to be hard. You're going to be sad. You're going to spend some time crying, but keep walking. Don't stop. At every turn. And I'm really good at listening. So I have heard the Spirit before say, oh, hold up, lady. You need to quit that. And I have stopped cold because I listen. I listen. But in this case, we were being told, keep walking, keep walking. So we came here not having any place to live. But let me back that up. So we decided, okay, this is what we're doing. This is how much space we're going to afford ourselves. So we found the smallest U-Haul, the smallest one. I went and I got inside of it. I remember going to the U-Haul place, and they thought I was so crazy. I went and I measured the inside of it. I measured how wide it was, how deep it was, how tall it was, and I came home and I got some painter's tape, and I taped it out on my floor. And I said, if it fits in this box, it goes. If it can't fit in this box, it's not going. And everybody was on board. So that ended up being about 3 boxes per person of personal things. I had a little more. I was afforded more because I had all the homeschooling stuff that we have. So and all of the books and the stuff that we have for teaching the grades. So what I actually ended up doing was I looked at the grade that I was teaching, the next grade beyond that, and I kept that for each of the kids, and everything else I sold. And I sold it. Some of you might remember when we went through that process. Sold a lot of stuff on Facebook, sold a lot of stuff to local families. I mean, I sold everything. I kept, I bought like one new set of stock mark crayons, kept those, sold the old ones. One new set of pencils, kept those, sold the old ones. But we got rid of everything. So when we had this, we had it all taped out. We knew it would fit in the truck. And we had some adversity leaving there. My landlord, who was not the kindest human being, had promised us one amount and tried to stiff us and give us something else. And because of my powers of persuasion, I got exactly what I wanted, and I raced myself to the bank to cash that check. And we left. And it was, I remember it was pouring down the rain, and we had already said goodbye to all of our friends and family, and it was emotional, but we all knew that it was the right thing to do. All of us. It wasn't just Erik and I. The children were 100% on board, and it was a new adventure for the Nielsens. We knew that it was going to not be without struggle, but we went, and it was it probably didn't hit me. In fact, I remember where I was. I remember I was on the freeway. I was on the I-15, because you take I-15 south from Salt Lake City to get to San Diego. I was on the I-15, and I had just hit the San Diego county line, and I just started to bawl. I just started to cry. Like, messy cry. Like, it was, and I remember just feeling like, holy crap, we did it. And it was, and I knew that it was still fraught with struggle ahead. So we had gotten out of there, out of Utah a day later than we wanted to. So it put us into San Diego like on a Thursday. And we really wanted to be in San Diego like on a Tuesday or Wednesday, so we had a few days to look for a house. So we didn't have to spend so much money on a hotel. So we got here, and we parked our truck at an extended stay in Sorrento Valley, which is just a little bit north of downtown San Diego. And that was our home base for like 11 days. I think, is that about right? 9 days, 11 days, some days. Yeah. Some days. So let me paint the picture for you. There was Harry, and there was Ellie, and there was Sam and Soraya, and a cat. And a cat. Sunbun, for those of you who remember Sunbun from our stories, our Super Sam stories, we had Sunbun with us at the time. And Sunbun was an amazingly, sometimes good, sometimes frustrating animal. But he didn't like the litter box. He was Mr. I want to be outside. He was not pleased. Not pleased. We had all these days in a hotel. And so we got to about day 8, and we were starting to get stressed out because we could not find what we wanted. Now there were some places for rent that we could have taken, but it was just not the space that we were feeling like this was supposed to be. So on about day 8, we, being Mormons, went down to the Mormon Battalion, which is this great historical site, and we prayed with some people there. And we told them our story, and sort of that we weren't losing faith, but we were struggling and really looking for where we needed to be. And so we prayed with some people there. We prayed with complete strangers. Don't be afraid to pray with strangers. Don't be afraid to. Don't be afraid to spend spiritual time with people that are different than you. Don't be afraid to step back and do things as you are in sort of on the Spirit's mission. Don't be afraid to do things that you're called to do. Just do it. Do it. And if I do what you're called to do what you're prompted to do. That's a huge lesson, a huge lesson. So we did that. That was a Sunday. We found a house the next morning. Because it bolstered us up. It gave us the strength that we didn't have, that we were lacking, that we needed. And so that morning I was in the hotel working because I still needed to work. And Erik was driving around, and he found the house that we lived in for the first 2 years that we lived in San Diego. And what's funny is it was only $300 more a month than what we were paying in Utah. So we stepped into it. It was not hardship, and it allowed us then to have the space to then scale. So grew our business some more, and then, you know, we had the space. We loved it. We loved it. We had made the first dream come true. And it was all because we were in tune. We were in tune with each other. And you know, I have to tell you, yeah, I'm a cleric. I can make anything happen. Just, I can force it if I want to. But like I said, I don't, because I listen to the Spirit. There are times that I drain myself back in. But I listen to the Spirit, because I know that if I'm trying to force something, it's not going to work right. But Erik is a phlegmatic. And so for those of you who might be like, I can't believe she did that, or my husband would never do that, let me just say, you're not somebody who loves change, are you?
No.
He's not. But when you're ready for change, he was on board. It took some time. What was it that convinced you more than the crazy train? I mean, what point did you decide you wanted here more than you wanted there, and that you were going to step out of your comfort zone to do it?
Just that the situation we lived in was becoming unworkable.
And then more uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was more and more uncomfortable.
So he had to get more uncomfortable with where we were in order to get really comfortable about this idea. And so, you know, if you're in a spot and you go, I don't know how this is going to happen, look at your current situation, because that's where dreams come from. Dreams come from this space of not being exactly happy with where you are. And that's okay. That is not, you know, it definitely, we get these mixed messages of, oh, just be happy with where you are. Just be happy with what you have. So we might tell our children that, but we really want to be able to also dream. And if you have stopped dreaming, I'm going to challenge you to resurrect those dreams today and think about them today. Doesn't matter what they are. It doesn't matter if it's going back to school. It doesn't matter if it's moving to the place that you love. It doesn't matter if it's making more money, starting your own business, you know, going on a vacation. It doesn't matter what it is. Make your dreams a reality. It does not happen in a vacuum. You have to put forward effort to it. You have to decide, this is what I want to do. And I'll tell you, when we moved here, we got to San Diego, and it was like, whew, we got here. And we spent 2 years absolutely loving where we were. We were not in a great neighborhood. There were things that were not exactly what we wanted. We were still spending more time in the car than we wanted, because it wasn't a super walkable situation. The kids went to karate here in Ocean Beach, and I got to a point where I was like, Erik, you're gonna have to take them, because it is too depressing for me to go there. I loved it so much, I stopped dreaming for a bit, and it really affected me. It really affected me. It was. Excuse me. It was about a year after my stroke, and I just thought, I am not in a place. I'm not in a place for that. I need to. You're gonna have to take them. I need to sort myself out, and I did. I sorted myself out, and then I spanked myself and said, "What are you doing? Start dreaming again." So then we looked at it again, practically on paper. This is where we are. This is what we're spending for rent. This is what we're spending on gas, like 5 days a week, to get to the place where we want to be. Could we just take the money that we were spending on gas and apply it to rent? It was very practical as we started making that dream come true. So be specific in your dreams, because I'm going to tell you, this is how specific I was. We made a dream board. We made it, and I'm huge about dream boards. As a family, we made a dream board. We made it. Everybody had we sat one morning for family meeting, and we wrote things that we wanted on this dream board. It was a nice big poster board, and we had it so that everybody could see it all the time. So whenever you came down the stairs in our other house, it was there. When you were eating breakfast, it was there. Excuse me. We talked about it during family meeting. We talked about it during morning gathering. This is what our intention is. Everybody, and do not discount the intentions of the youngest children. They can all help. They can all help. So of course we ask, like, what do you want in a house if we move to the beach? And so I would be like, I want a place for ponies. And we'd be like, okay, let's think about that. That's not going to happen. But how about, you know, living a few blocks from the ocean so you can play in the sand all the time? Oh yes, that's really what I want. So, you know, we had to make sure that it was doable, because you want to dream big, but, you know, also want to be practical. So we made this dream board. Everybody looked at it. We all talked about it every day. And I made a decision when I was looking at the map, and I downloaded an app like the Zillow app. There's an app for just about everything, but there's a Zillow app, and that's a rental app. So I would look at it every day. I would pull it out, I would look at it, and I set my parameters. I wanted to be between Sunset Cliffs, which is the street right here outside my house, and the ocean, which is 3 blocks away. And I wanted to be between Del Monte, which is 1 street that way, and Niagara, which is 1 street that way. I didn't want to go any farther east in Ocean Beach because things get a little jiggy. And I didn't want to be too much farther south because I also did not want to get too far away because the dojo was where we wanted to be, near the dojo. That's not our reality now, but that's really what we wanted. So I said, God, this is where we're supposed to go. Find us a house. Guess what? Put that out there. Found a house right in the corner. So we are on the corner, right on the corner of that street, 2 blocks away from that street, right on the corner, 3 blocks from the ocean. It's small, but it's not tiny. I mean, we have, there's 860 square feet upstairs, and then because in California, most garages are finished. So what you see us in, our space that we have converted is our garage. But it's a pretty nice garage. Like, it's drywalled. It's got lights in the ceiling. It's a pretty nice space. We attracted it. So that really makes our space, actually, if you count both, it makes it bigger than my house that was in Utah, which is kind of funny. Anyway, we attracted it. We attracted it because we asked for it and we went for it. And it turned out to be the exact amount of money that was the gas plus the rent we were paying. Exact. So be specific. Be specific about your dreams. Write it down. Get busy. Get excited about it. Get on the same page as your partner. Decide what you want together. Ask him, what do you want? What do you want? Do you want to stay in this job that you hate, that you bemoan every day? What do you want? And get clear about it, because that's where it starts. It starts from asking yourself, what is it that you want? It starts from finding out that, hey, I might not want exactly what I have right now. This is okay, but I want more. And I'm going to tell you a secret. We're not done dreaming. We're not, because we want something even bigger. And what has to happen then? So we write out what we want. Our business has to scale again. And that's great because we've diversified in so many other ways and opened up our coaching side much more than what we had before. And building those pieces, we knew exactly what we needed to do to build. So we're working with business coaches and things like that we have to do in order to go to the next place. And it's exciting and it's fun. And we're listening to the Spirit every step of the way. What is amazing to me is when you listen and you follow that path, the blessings are insane. There's so many blessings. And when you don't and you try to push it, the blessings get turned off. So you'll know you're on the right track if you're feeling blessed at every turn. Now I will also say, people say, but did you attract your stroke? Yes, I did. And why and how? Because people think that that's a cruel thing to think. I am happy to say I attracted it. Why? Well, I spent the year before my stroke, and it's been 4 years since my stroke, but I spent the year before my stroke. I had a lot of clients that were really struggling with health problems. And I kept thinking, my prayer was constantly, I need to better relate to people. I'm really struggling with being able to relate to this chronic illness that they have, or this this major struggle that they have, and I want to be good at what I do, and I want to be able to come to it from a place of knowing, not just a place of believing or just a place of thinking. So when people say to me, I can't make that work, I go, oh, well, let me tell you. Let's talk about your situation, because I might be able to figure it out for you. Because I have been blessed with so many trials, and they are a blessing to me every bit as much as the fun stuff, because you have to figure out a way to sort through it, and you have to find the silver lining. You have to find the peace that brings you peace. You have to find it, and if you don't, you'll be stuck. You'll be stuck in the why does this happen to me? Don't be stuck in the why does this happen to me? Go, okay, what can I learn? What can I learn from this? And how can I apply that to my bigger dream? And once I've applied that to my bigger dream and I can help people that are also struggling with this, like, what's next? You know, I didn't ask to have a child that had autism, but I'm glad I did. He's glad he has it. Yeah, would he trade it? Probably. If you said to him today, hey, I could make it so you don't have autism, he might go, okay, fix me. But he might also not, because he's learned a lot that he couldn't learn if he didn't have autism. I learned a lot being his mother. A lot being his mother. Do you have any questions over there?
Well, there's a comment from back when we talked about how I had to get uncomfortable. And
Okay.
She says, that's my problem, so until my husband is uncomfortable, things won't happen.
I don't think that has to be. So your husband's probably more uncomfortable than he thinks he is. So talk about that. You have to talk about that, because also, I mean, I say that you had to get uncomfortable. So there was also a part of you that was like, I know this is what my family wants and what's right for my family.
Yeah.
So even though he had to get uncomfortable, he also is a team player. This was not the Melisa party starring Melisa. This was like a family endeavor. Everybody was on board. And like I said, I had these teenage children that we actually were worried that, hey, we want to move, but it's not going to happen until they're out of the house. And when we talked as a family, they were like, no, yes, let's go. Like, why are we still here? Kind of thing. And, you know, I think that while in many ways, because we have family in Utah, that's like home for them. It's not for me. California is. I got family here. This is not where my mom lives, though. I have to tell you, I love my mom so much. But she lives in Mesquite. She lives 5 hours away. But she's close enough. She flies. She comes here. I mean, with today's technology, you can talk to people whenever you want. And people say, are you sad that you don't have a big family base in San Diego? I go, heck no. There's so much less drama. I love my life. Absolutely love my life. But it is absolutely the life that I've created. And so I want you to look at the life that you have right now. The first step in making things happen is owning that you created what you have. Own it. You have to own it. And once you own it, then it is so much sweeter to realize, oh, wait a minute, I can create something different. Once you create something different, then you feel better about what you're owning, because you might, you know, I've been in the spot of going, oh, I have to own this, and it's not fun. And I didn't want to own it. I didn't want to own how I felt about it. I didn't want to own where we were. I didn't want to own the drama that was going on in my life. I didn't want to own it. But guess what? Until you own it, you can't make something better. So own it. Own it so that you can make something better out of it. Once you make something better out of it, life is grand. It's awesome and amazing. So I think that's all I have to say today. All right, y'all. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful week. And I hope that I've inspired you to sort of decide, at least own where you are. Even if you're standing in muck and you hate your life, own it because you created it. And then decide, all right, what would I rather have instead of this? Because it all turns, you can always choose peace instead of where you're standing. So choose it and move forward and make some decisions. And making some decisions on sort of where you are and where you want to be will change the course of your life and the course of your children's lives. And I know that my children are better people for having a mother that is so determined and that teaches them that you shouldn't settle for things that aren't good for you and that you don't like. You should keep pushing forward. So with that, hope you'll have a great week. See you guys later.